This is the SOG Flash MT, and I had overlooked this for quite some time. It's been out a while now, but I never really gave it much consideration. But some things have changed that made me look at it again. I found this for 20 bucks on eBay. That was part of the compelling factor. We're going to unbox it today. I've got Leatherman Skeletal here for comparison. And we'll talk about my history with SOG multi-tools. Free magnet in there. Should we pull the product info out? Maybe we'll look at that in just a bit, if we can get it out. Okay, nothing super fancy there. The box is nice. That's always nice to have a good unboxing experience. When I was in my mid-20s, I went on a real Skeletal kick. I really liked the lightweight features of the Leatherman Skeletal, and it has the three things that I need from a multi-tool, being pliers, screwdriver, and a knife blade. Eventually, I upgraded to the Leatherman Skeletal CX, which is the plain edge, and it's a higher grade steel. Don't remember what it is offhand. But as my kind of EDC journey continued, I went and picked up what I considered SOG's competitor to the Skeletal. This is a little bit smaller, feels a little bit lighter, might be comparable. This is the SOG Reactor, and longtime viewers of the channel will know my feelings about this tool. It does have SOG's compound action pliers, not as smooth as some others. It does have a bit holder here. You cannot use that to drive bits, but you can slot that bit into the top of the multi-tool to drive screws. Now, unfortunately, you're going to witness one problem. If that bit goes in the wrong direction, it does not stay in. Another issue I had with this, I had a lot of issues with this, I guess is what I'm saying. One of the magnets fell out of the bit retention with basically no use, very little use, if any. And then the blade is spring assisted, which at the time to me was very compelling. I wasn't used to, the roll open on a Leatherman is good. But it's not the same as, a fidgety sort of folding knife. And I thought, ooh, maybe I can get that on a multi-tool with this spring assisted blade. Two issues arose there. One is that every time I flick this open, I risk ripping my thumb open. The way, just the form factor and my hands don't seem to mesh. And so when that blade comes open, my thumb slides right across that blade, and I can feel it kind of chafing as I go. What I'm worried about is one of those times just running it along that blade and slicing it open. On the other side of the blade is another issue I had. Just in testing, it takes almost very little force from behind, and that liner lock will start to bend. I do not trust that lock. I don't recommend anyone else trust that lock either. So it does lock in the closed position. It's also just kind of it's not a comfortable tool. Lots of hot spots. It wouldn't be comfortable using for a lot of stuff. And you may see already that there is quite a bit of, whoops. Let me get that dehumidifier off for a moment. I apologize. Quite a lot of design cues in the Flash MT. But I heard good things about this when it was coming out. I never went and grabbed it because of my experience with the SOG Reactor. In the interim, I have gotten my hands on the SOG Power Pint as well as the Power Lock. Now, these are two SOG tools that I do recommend. They have their drawbacks, but they are generally good tools in my opinion. And having used some good SOG power or multi-tools, I thought when I saw this for 20 bucks, maybe let's give it a try. So it does open and close very smoothly. It's got that SOG compound leverage action. Let's compare the pliers to the Reactor. For those that are familiar, it's going to be a little bit more pointed. Just generally, I don't know, seems a little bit more refined. Nothing crazy. Simpler than the Reactor for sure. It doesn't have that SOG logo, which is a nice touch actually. Similar sized bolt gripping and wire cutting, just a little bit longer in the needle nose. Let's check out the knife blade here. And it does have a lock. I'm guessing... okay, it's spring assisted as well. So let's try that out. If I'm looking at the lock bar here, it seems like that should go in and hide the red dot, right? I'm not super familiar with like firearms, but I would think that that red dot means it's not safe, but that red dot doesn't go away. It's also painted. Can you see how much they overshot with that little paint? In the lock position, it does lock up, unlocked. It's a lot of force to overcome whatever detent they're using here, but it does open. I don't feel my thumb running along the blade as much, so they've changed something in the geometry that feels a little bit more, a little bit safer, maybe. Comparing the blade shapes, very similar size. This has just a little bit of a clip point to it almost. But functionally going to be very, very similar. I do like that blade runs back into a choil for sharpening, I suppose. The locking doesn't feel as flimsy. It's a little bit harder to get to. It's more recessed. You can see all that black there is exposed liner lock. This just has a very small portion here. Feels good. Let's kind of put it through some stress. Yeah, it's definitely a stronger liner lock. It's not flexing as much. It is flexing. I can compare that to the Skeletal. I feel basically no flex in that. So it's still not going to be quite as strong, it feels, as some other tools. Pocket clip I like better. I can tell you that right now. Let's flip this open. It's got that kind of... there was a generation of SOG tools that kind of had this sort of branding with the SOG in there. This is a much quieter pocket clip, and I think it would go better in most cases. Is this a bottle opener? Oh, we got a bottle opener on the Reactor as well, for what it's worth. Let's lock that up, and actually that time it did depress further. I wonder if it just loosened up with use. So that makes a lot more sense. The red dot is mostly hidden, other than the overflow on the paint job. And now, okay. So that must have just been, that's interesting. All right, the bit driver is going to be a little bit different on the Flash MT, and I need to figure out how to use it. So in here, this is a polymer, probably a TPU. So it's just kind of clasped in place, opens up, and it looks like you can flex it to get out a 4mm bit. Now, I still would have loved to see that permanently mounted in there, so you could use this, maybe you could slide it out or something and use it in this orientation, but this is going to be the same thing where it goes down into the plier head here. I'm a fan of this. I always thought this was pretty novel, pretty cool sort of idea. So this has got a Phillips driver and a small flat driver, but these are going to be in the 4mm precision bit size versus the 1/4" bit size that you'd see on, well, you saw on the Reactor, and maybe more common for a lot of people. Magnets work okay. Overall, I feel like that's gripping in there a lot better. The magnets hold it well. I don't feel like, I mean, it's not going to fall out. Of course, you do need to apply some squeezy force to keep that oriented when using. But for small tasks, that'd be pretty nice. I wonder if you could fit a different 4mm bit in here. I imagine you could. So you could have a bit in there to handle different tasks. Yeah, it seems like you just kind of bend this, use that flexibility in order to pop out the bit. Maybe we can look at the literature there. There's another blue plastic piece here. I'm guessing that's just aesthetic. Let's pull out the literature. It does have a safety on blade. Okay, safety instructions. Can you guys see this? Open blade, disengage safety, open blade with thumb stud. Okay. Close blade, disengage frame lock, which I wouldn't call this. I'd call this a liner lock. Is it actually frame lock? Maybe technically. Bit storage, it says remove the bit and insert the bit. Okay. That's not helpful in the least. But this is the SOG Flash MT. Got gummed up there a little bit. Is that? No, it seems like it's going now. So, you know, fit and finish isn't perfect. It is night and day different from the Reactor. Just hotspots, I can already tell you, are going to be much, much less. Even though it's a very similar design. There's just less. They did a little bit better job maybe rolling this over. This section here where there's two panels exposed doesn't feel as bitey. In fact, the teeth on the plier head are less pokey as well. And none of those are, you know, going to prevent you from doing work when you need to, but they will prevent you from using this long-term comfortably, which is something that if you're paying for a multi-tool, you might want to have. Pretty comfortable overall, which I'm happy with. Let's compare it back to the Leatherman Skeletal. Going to be close, very close in size to that. I may have to give this a carry and do a proper review in the future. I've kind of fallen off the spring-assisted knife trend, but well, there it is again. That lock is not closing into the locked position, and I'm not sure why. So, a little good, a little bad. Definitely, well, why is that? You guys caught me finding some things out. That rubber pad just caught when I tried to open it. Caught on the other half of the frame. Yeah. So if you were to grip down on this, I don't know, that's interesting. Yeah, can you see that? That can just be pressed out of the place and then it locks the handle shut, seemingly inadvertently. Well, there's some good, there's some bad. That's the SOG Flash MT. I did check these are still available on Amazon. I know they've got some new tools coming out as well, so hopefully we can take a look at more from SOG, or SOG, as I believe they prefer to be called. Lanyard ring, or a lanyard hole for a lanyard. And again, that lock bar doesn't seem to be working consistently. We'll have to look into that, or the locking tab rather. Alrighty, that is the SOG Flash MT, and it is giving me trouble right at the end of the video. That's why I ramble, guys, so that we can get just a little bit more hands-on time for these unboxing videos. That's all I've got. Catch you in the next video.